The best time of the year, in fact, the only time of the year to do a lawn renovation is in the fall. And that's because you get consistent, gentle, steady rains. Although last year was a bad year for us and we were kind of in a drought. So I was forced to augment that, which is very expensive as I have to pay for my water. I spent about $400 on water for this project. When I started this project, my lawn was in really bad shape. In addition to broadleaf weeds, I had a lot of grassy weeds like St. Augustine and Bermuda grass that I was trying to get rid of. So I ended up using Roundup concentrate from one of the big box stores, and I ended up using 2 bottles of that on my lawn mixed up into a backpack sprayer. I got my backpack sprayer at Sam's, but you can get these at numerous places. I highly recommend the one at Sam's, and I'll probably do a review of that someday. I ended up going through 2 bottles and I still needed more. I ended up going with a product called Glystar Plus that you can get at a lot of feed stores or farm and fleet stores. It's basically the chemical glyphosate, which is the main ingredient for Roundup. Now, to be fair, there's a lot of information, a lot of bad press about this chemical on the internet, and you'll need to decide for yourself whether that's what you want to use on your lawn or not. I know I've used it for years for different applications, usually spot treating, not the entire lawn, but I will say nothing works better for this application. One item to note that if you do kill your grass with these products, you will need to wait at least 2 weeks before applying your grass seed. So before going to the next step, you need to wait at least 2 weeks. One of the tools that you'll need to rent is an overseeder, and you can rent this from your local rental store, or some of the big box stores will rent these as well. It has metal tines that rotate, that cut grooves in the soil. There is a hopper that you put seed in. Depending on which unit you rent, it'll be in either the front or the back. You will have to set the depth, and once you engage it, it's off to the races. This unit is not self-propelled. In fact, none of the units that were available for rent in my area are self-propelled. It does get pulled along somewhat from the rotation of the tines, depending on the depth of cut that you're using. For me, I ended up having to put the depth of cut to the most aggressive. Otherwise, I was getting a lot of spots that weren't getting cut at all. So I was getting areas that it was just skipping, and it's because my lawn was not very even prior to this process. It is quite physically challenging, so make sure you're up to the task. You need to cut overlapping sections parallel to each other until the entire lawn is done, and then you come back and at a 90-degree angle or perpendicular to the first path that you cut, you need to cut the lawn again, the entire lawn, going the other direction, perpendicular or 90 degrees to the direction that you went previously. Again, if you're not up to this, find a neighbor or some neighborhood kid that you can hire, like a teenager that wants to earn some extra bucks, or leave it to them. The next thing I did after going over the lawn twice with the overseeder was I used a spreader. I actually used the one in the middle, that red one, the Earthway spreader, to apply additional seed over the entire lawn. And I used a starter fertilizer by Scott's. And you need to use a starter fertilizer because of the phosphorus content, which is beneficial for the seedlings' root system when they're young. I mentioned before I needed to use a sprinkler. You want to try to stay off the lawn. That's why I use this kind of sprinkler, so that I wouldn't have to walk and drag the hose around and disturb the seedlings. As when they're young, they're kind of tender. Here I'm showing you some of the seedlings coming up, along with a few weeds. Don't worry about that. The grass will grow up and choke out the weeds as long as you don't cut it. You want to stay off the lawn for several weeks. This is a video of my grass of the following spring. It turns out I was putting my house on the market that spring. I didn't know it at the time, and that fall when I started this project, I probably wouldn't have done it if I'd known my house was going on the market, because it was kind of stressful, thinking, oh my gosh, I hope my lawn comes back. It turned out really well though. I ended up getting a lot of compliments from the neighbors. And here's a few photos of my grass later that in the summer when my house was on the market, and it sold the very first week. I hope you found this video helpful. Remember, the most important thing is only attempt this in the fall. Do not try this in the spring.